In this video, we're going to talk about Jmia technologies. If you're considering adding Jmia in your portfolio, then please keep watching this video until the end, because it'll cover many of the factors that should be considered regarding buying, holding, or selling the shares. During today's trading session, the stock opened at $29.70 and closed at $29.19. The lowest point at which it fell to was $29.09, and the highest point it rose to was $30.90. Compared to the current price action, its 52-week low was $4.30 and the 52-week high was $69.89. The current trading volume of Jumia is around 3.8 million shares compared to the average volume of 7.4 million shares. The short-term trend of the company is that it seems to have touched some kind of bottom in the middle of the price correction, so it would be a smart move to buy a moderate amount of the shares now, in case the stock price takes off from there. On the other hand, if we look at the price of the company since its introduction to the stock market, Jumia is still in a bullish trend, with a massive gap of near the penny stock territories in the middle. In other words, Jumia never really broke from the long-term trend, and it seems to be going for higher price levels at this time. For the price action patterns, it would be up to you to determine if the stock still has enough steam to go upward, regardless of the company's fundamentals, because we assume at the present time that they are being priced in. Now, let's take a look at the market capitalization of the company, which represents how much the company is worth in the eyes of the investors. The market capitalization of Jumia increased significantly over the past 2 years, from $527.7 million in 2019 to $2.6 billion at present day. Another outside signal to observe is the total number of shares outstanding. Generally speaking, if the number of shares keeps increasing, then this suggests that a company is selling the equity to keep the company afloat. In this regard, Jumia did sell a lot of its own shares to keep its operation going in the early stages so that the company can grow. The number of shares outstanding went from 78.53 million shares in 2017 to 89.63 million shares in the present day. To be honest, it's not much compared to how many shares other companies could have sold during the same period of time. Meanwhile, the financial market's overall sentiment is still relatively reluctant at putting more money in the same genre of company. Following the stock market craze back in 2020, the stock market decided to pull back massively from the entire, what we call disruptive, innovative growth stock sector, covering biotech, electric vehicles, and anything that requires a keynote presentation to attract venture capital. This wave of pullback can be explained in two ways. At the time, the market needed niches to park their capital inside to avoid getting heavy losses. And since the stock price of those companies increased multifold, many of the investors decided to lock in their profits, and those people didn't mind the massive sell-off that it would initiate. The second reason was because the market began to realize how overly exposed investors have become to the growth stocks. Those are the main reasons why the stock ultimately collapsed from so many companies that everyone was talking about. In the current circumstances, the recommended approach is to be careful when buying the stock. On one hand, the shares may be able to climb back on its own when operations start to be able to carry the price. On the other, the stock may simply increase because it fell low enough. This means that in the current market settings, we need to tread water carefully regarding which stocks we need to be buying. Many of them have become overpriced over the past 12 months, and we may need to wait for another few weeks or month before the timing is ripe to increase our holdings again. With that being said, there will always be sudden events that will create a lot of volatilities for individual companies, and this is why it is always recommended to hold a small position in those stocks in case if you're missing out. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.